Welcome to the podcast.
Such a missed opportunity.
Welcome. Oh, it was good morning, Catachan.
Good morning, Vietnam.
War with the boys! It's now time for hammering up the point. I am your war boss, Toon Smasher.
The commissar.
One more time.
I'm the commissar.
And I'm Electro Priest Jack.
Today's episode is gonna be the Tyranids,
Which is why
little
we're
biggie
all
buck boys. Nom, nom, nom,
wearing
nom, nom.
our brown pants.
I'm wearing gray.
Oh, okay. So I wore
have
my
black
brown pants. So, Tyranids, terrifying and from out of nowhere, besides deep space.
Well, they actually came. So
They
if
came.
we want to kind of, if we want to start where, oh fuck. So where they came from, if we want to go, is
we don't
like,
exactly know what planet they exactly came from.
We don't, but the Imperium's first contact with them came from like the planet of Tyranid.
Yes, because they were fighting the Gene Stealers for the first time in the Great
Yeah.
Crusade. Because that was like kind of like an off-cast of the Tyranid that were considered too genetically mutated for
Right.
them, so they were just kind of tossed onto that planet. And
Good
that
for
was
them.
technically the first.
Right,
But
because there's the space
the
Hulk
Eldar were
situation.
the ones that ran into him in like
No.
the first contact, weren't they?
the first contact ever in human history, because I don't remember the Eldar ever facing them beforehand. Because what drew the main force of the Tyranids was
That's
during
right.
the Horus Heresy.
Yep.
Specifically because there's this group of people who were defending the psychic beacon, and the loyalists exploded it. And that caused a psychic shockwave
Yeah, ping. A gigantic ping for them to
that
come
caught
and
the
eat us.
attention of the Tyranids, who were actually just moseying on by our galaxy, or at least their galaxy. And that's what attracted them, was that exact psychic
So they came
beacon
from another
exploding.
galaxy or
Gotcha.
deep space
'Cause
or
basically to expand out the hive mind, right?
Well, they
Yeah,
were
'cause they
just
just-
doing what the Tyranids do, which was consume.
Yep, they were hibernating in deep space until they found
They
us.
were going to a different galaxy because they just destroyed another one, and they were just like going to bypass ours, or at least theirs. I keep
There
saying
is a
ours.
theory too that if they didn't find us, they were going to starve to death
Yep.
too.
So the Imperium fucked themselves because of the Horus Heresy.
Yeah, and the whole galaxy really, because
Yep.
I mean we've encountered. So they're the I don't know exactly what our list is for things how we're going down the
It's all usually
the
just
agenda,
general.
but they exist in what are called tentacles of the hive, of the Leviathan, not the hive. The Leviathan, the mass entity is the Leviathan. The entirety of the Tyranid hive mind is the Leviathan, and then there's arms of the Leviathan, and we have encountered one, one arm.
Yep. So the Tyranids was attracted by the Xeno communication device known as Phobos. Or Phoros? I can't pronounce that word. You pronounce that word. You're better at reading than me.
First attracted to the Milky Way galaxy when the Xenos communication device known as the Pharos was overloaded in the Battle of Sotha during the Horus Heresy.
Yep. That's what attracted the Tyranids to our
That's
to
really
the
funny.
Milky Way galaxy.
I always thought it was when whoever contacted the Emperor and like.
Oh, you're thinking of Swagness?
Yeah,
Swagnus the
No.
Yeah, I thought the whole Horus Heresy was just like the catalyst for it. I thought it all.
No,
happened
it
at
was
the same
specifically
time.
that psychic communication
Yeah,
device that
nice.
exploded because the Tyranids, as we know, are psychically based.
Yes.
Even
But
though
that's how
they
they all,
are and
like,
they
feed-
aren't, because they have psychic abilities, but they are also
They're
like
not
void
part
of spirit.
yeah, they're not
Because
part
they're
of the
all
warp.
essentially the one mind, just
Yeah.
put in different bodies.
Yeah.
But big old booty. There are actually Tyranid life forms on other planets, so the Tyranids must have been to the Milky Way galaxy once before and was beaten back by something. Because there are planets
The
like
Emperor's just sitting in
Catachan.
his chair like, not the fucking bugs again.
The Catachan planet
Mars rumbles.
actually has Tyranid life forms or descendants of Tyranid life forms.
Oh my god.
And
so are we
so
saying that
does-
it's confirmed that there are precursor species? Oh wait, maybe that was just the
Well, every species was pretty much made by the
old
old ones.
Yep.
Even the
so
Tyranids.
It was probably just them.
So something tells me the Tyranids was what they used to wipe out the races that they didn't deem fit, and they lost track of them during the. At least this is
The
my theory.
Tyranids are
I was
just
gonna
the
say
appendix.
I could see that being their answer to the orcs too.
Well, not necessarily the orcs, because I think that they originally was there to clean up after the races that quote unquote failed. They were the cleanup crew.
Right.
And during the war in heaven, I think they lost track of them and they floated off to a weird distant part of the galaxy. And well, since their programming was to consume, they just kind of was just like, hey, we're just consume. And then as time went on, they developed into their own hive mind like structure, and at least that's my theory on how
But
or the
that's
origins
just a
of the
game
Tyranid.
theory.
But yeah, no, there are remnants of Tyranid bioforms on the Space Wolf's home planet and Catachan, because there are a lot of bioforms in Catachan.
Perturabo?
Perturabo.
No, not oh god damn it, not Perturabo. That's the fucking. Oh, I hate when I get my shit mixed up.
I mean, there's so much in Warhammer to get mixed
Yeah,
up.
so the Fenris, which is the planet of the Space Wolves, it's suspected that the Krakens that live in that planet, which are these giant squid-like creatures, were prior Tyranid bioforms
Interesting.
that landed on that planet and got cut off from their psychic brethren due to distance or their
And that's why
hive
I mean,
mind.
when their mind starves like that, they don't.
Well, usually there's like one big Tyranid that like has the big link, and if that thing dies, it cuts off due to all the other, and then they kind of go wild.
Because that's a biomorph, isn't it?
Well,
At least
it's pretty much
according-
like any of the big ones: hive tyrants, zoanthropes, whatever the bigger version of zoanthropes are. I don't remember their name right off the top of their back. Pretty much like any of the big bioforms of the Tyranids. They're the psychic link that controls the little itty bitty ones. So if you kill them, the gaunts, which are these smaller bioforms, will start attacking each other and everything because of the singular fact that it's that psychic link they need.
Yeah, so the structure of Tyranids is pretty interesting.
It's just a hive mind.
It is a hive mind, but they all have different roles, just like bees or ants.
Pretty
or-
much. They're like any big
Yeah.
insectoid-like race.
And the greatest part about them is that they can give birth to more soldiers in the middle of the battlefield.
Well, yeah, at
with
least one of them, the
Carnifex?
it's a Carnifex-like one.
I don't know. It's disgusting. It's just got a big gaping fucking womb that it just releases tiny little spiders. You know how everybody wishes mosquitoes would go extinct? That's how I feel about
There's a form of
termites.
Tyranid that spews out like a type of acid that burns into everything, and it's like little
They stole that from aliens.
ones that go in and kind of take over and create another Tyranid, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, well, that's gene stealers. So gene stealers will steal your genes, and
Tie up the belt.
and then transform you into their cult members. That's usually done before a Tyranid invasion, though. They'll send gene stealers down to the planet, and then they'll infect the population slowly so that the population doesn't resist them during the invasion. But then the gene stealer cult usually also has a mind of its own, so they have to end up
those are the
slaughtering
more
gene stealer
humanoid
court.
ones, right?
Yeah, well, and they assimilate the properties of whatever species they're going after.
Because are they an actual like parasite that takes over the body? Of
Yes.
them?
Okay. So
Kind of,
actually,
yeah.
I've read the book. There is a specifically
Shocker.
a Caiaphas Cain book that actually has them fighting gene stealer cult.
Yeah.
And the way that they they would
What's with the
infect
ridges on
people.
their head?
Oh,
get
well,
to
that's
that.
just mutations.
That's just that's just like what they have. But the way that they infect people is that they will try to incapacitate people, and then they will slice a small hole into them. And pure form gene stealers have a weird little like tube in their tongue that they will stab into the like cut or hole, and they will inject a like a bit of their genetic tumor thing,
it's a
and it will
genetic
attach
virus.
to their organs, and it will slowly but surely start replacing their genes with
it's a
Okay.
virus.
Tyranids.
Yeah, it's a virus that transforms all of your DNA into Tyranid gene stealer
and then like
DNA.
then they will have
'Cause
like
that's how they
a
also
compulsion
learn
to
more
go
too,
out
right?
and have
Yeah.
sex, and then they will have babies, and then those babies will be the first like two. I think the first generation is mutants, and then as they get around and they have babies, more pure strains will start popping up.
Yeah, I think by the third generation,
Yeah,
there
and
are
then-
pure strains.
Then usually the
Like
first
full pure strain, like Tyranids.
Yeah,
right?
like you
Yeah.
birth a full gene. Well, not Tyranids. You just gene stealers. So that's the problem. Is the whole point of the gene stealer cult is just to nullify the population.
pretty much it's there to like cause unrest.
And so the gene stealers are interesting because they're just completely separate from the Tyranids. They are of the same genetic makeup of the Tyranids, but because they operate on completely separate rules.
Yeah, they have a thing called a patriarch, which is the firstborn purebred gene stealer that will grow to enormous sizes. Like they
it
get
becomes like a
fat.
queen.
And they are psychically connected to all the other cult members, and they will start sending out psychic pulses when the group gets big enough
Gotcha,
that will
okay.
attract the gene
Yeah.
stealer, the rest of
And,
the
like,
Tyranid
the-
fleet. And then as soon as that happens and they manage to win, so to speak, they will just be like, okay, you can absorb us now.
Yeah, and those are the good ones. The ones that don't like have too much sentience and freak out and rebel. The good ones will just be like, all right, time to become food for the hive, and then they all just like jump into the big vats that they make. Because literally they'll just turn the planet into a giant cesspool of
Yeah,
food-sucking digestion.
but anyways, getting back on
Interesting.
the topic. We don't know where they came from. They came from outside of the galaxy. They were brought due to the Phobos device.
Pharaohs.
Pharos device that exploded and caused them to come here because they're like, ooh, food. Because, like, to them, something
starving
that
to death.
psychically strong would mean that there is ample food for them. So they shot over to us.
Because they literally eat everything
Yes.
on the
Oh, yeah,
planet.
all
Like,
biomass. They leave
literally
rock.
everything. Like
They'll even drink
all
of the
humanoids
water.
to grass, like
Yeah.
all the way down to the dirt and minerals and shit.
A
'Cause,
planet
like,
will become an asteroid of just
Yep.
carbon rock.
And then, now that they've been called, the very first actual conflict with the Tyranids, which was found out by a specific inquisitor. I don't quite remember.
So the
his name.
it went so poorly that we never recovered them until we
they
found
kept finding
remnants.
dead planets.
Yeah,
Like they
great.
would get psychic screech, like astropaths being like, "We need help," and then the time they got there, the planet would just be an empty, barren, destructive group, and so this specific inquisitor was like, "Hey, wait a second, like we need to like figure this stuff out."
This isn't Mass Effect 2. We're gonna look into this.
Pretty much. And basically, the Ordo Xenos, which is a specific group of the Inquisition that deals with Xenos species, he ended up basically like figuring it out. He was like, wait a second. And the reason why they have the name Tyranids is because they were attacking an ocean planet called Tyran, and they completely destroyed it, and that's where the name Tyranids came from.
Makes sense.
So that's why we
Even
have-
though the original name for Tyranids came from tyrannical or tyrannical.
No, it was Tyran.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they named the planet after they named the species.
Oh,
in
probably.
in the actual lore, but yeah, or not in the lore, in the, the people. Anyways, irrelevant. Continue. They found it, and gosh, so do we know when like humans were legitimately the first ones to encounter the Tyranids? Were we that unlucky?
yes, technically,
Nice. I guess they would be coming straight for human territory if that's where the psychic
Well, yeah,
beacon
they were
came
going towards the psychic beacon because that's what exploded.
from. Yep.
And like it just happened to a bunch of humans because they didn't show up like right after.
No, of course not. It took them a millennia. It would have taken them.
Yeah, it took them quite a long time to like actually like come to the Milky Way galaxy. So it was a few hundred years after.
They're like, why are they here? Everybody's
Pretty
like,
much.
I don't know. We're just here for a little snack, guys. We're just here to get some acorns.
You got any candy corn?
Yeah. I hear cattails are really good this time of year. Or is that a myth?
Ayo.
I'm not sure what else there is to say about the gigantic bugs of death.
Oh, there's still more. I'm just
I'm sure there's more.
sadly looking for that specific Inquisitor because I would like to know his name. We can cut this
Inquisitor
out because
Dickus Regis.
Oh yeah, no, this could definitely.
who was the Inquisitor who found the Tyranids? Oh no, Vivius Kurtman was his name.
Terrible name.
He was the first person to discover the Tyranids, and he was the like reason why we are really good at like fighting them because of the fact that though his like tactics was to just like slip in behind them and then virus bomb the planet they're eating, which was the most
Most effective way to kill them.
well at the point pretty much like because they didn't have any other weapons, but as they like actively
You used to sacrifice a planet, take
pretty
out a
much
chunk
to
of
like
the
starve
tentacle.
them out, and like that was
Yeah.
like one of the first groups and one of like the first major battles we won against the Tyranids. They
Yeah, the humans.
won against the Tyranids because of the fact that they
Us.
were they basically was just like, hey, if we just kind of shot towards these planets and destroyed them really quick, they would starve out because they realized that like they waste so much biomass and so much energy on assaulting the planet. They need those planets to like continue going.
Yeah,
So
I
he
can't remember
was-
what they witnessed. Didn't they witness like just a whole portion of the fleet stop moving altogether after they starved it out because it just the hive mind decided it couldn't waste energy on it anymore.
Pretty much like, and then that's when they realized that like
like it's starving.
they
to death.
they can split off into other tentacles. If they feel too threatened, or if they can like shoot a smaller ship off to like continue the hive mind's will, they'll shoot off a Norm Queen, which is like their big
like the
person
queen, yeah,
in
like,
a sense. Like they're the ones who are like the big mama who is connected to the hive mind.
gotcha.
So
They're the brain cells. Of
pretty
the
much
organism.
they are. That's the reason why they're called the Norm Queen, is
Yeah.
because of the fact that they are like
the big think tanks.
queen
of the,
fuck of shit mountain, basically.
Yeah.
But we could talk about the various bioforms after this, now that we've talked about this jumbled mess.
There's a fuck ton of them, dude. There's so many different creatures and like biotitans that they run. Holy
Yeah.
shit!
It is. It's insane about just how many there are. But we can just do a quick overview of all of them, and then if the fans want more of a detailed.
You visit the Lexicanum if you want the details.
But we can always just talk about the big ones, and then like, because like a lot of these only ever show up occasionally. So, and we can also do an entire episode on the Gene Stealer cults
Yeah.
specifically.
Well, I mean, this
Definitely.
hell, this one's technically a half and half, really, because we've described Tyranids, but also
Well, yeah,
a
we
bit
got
of the
into-
Gene
so-
Stealers. Because like one of the big monstrous creatures that shows up for the Tyranid is a Carnifex, because they're basically living battering rams.
Yeah, they're
And then there's like a thornback of them that have like guns
no,
attached to them.
artillery essentially is what those ones function as.
Yep, it's kind of insane. Just
Well,
like,
and that's what I started to talk about is because it's an entire civilization. So each one has, just like we said, ants and bees. Each Tyranid will have its own specific role in the civilization that makes up the hive mind society. So you've got everything from your worker grunts to your frickin' generals.
Yep.
Oh yeah, because like how to get like, because there's like this dissector larva that's like moisture absorbing life form.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, they have everything from things that just drink water.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm sure they have ones that just maintain.
So-
Yeah, it's like a
the
flesh
stomach
worm
acid.
for like organism with shiny
The
from
big
devourers.
ones, or at least the most noticeable ones that you will see on the battlefield of the Tyranids who are trying to take a planet. Starting with the Hive Tyrants. The Hive Tyrants are large, enormous, strong Tyranids who act as leaders of the swarm as a synaptic conduit for the smaller creatures. They are highly psychic and highly mutable. They have a close connection to the hive mind, and then they are the most generic of the Tyranids. They are both skilled in close combat and ranged combat. Most of the other Tyranid organisms, sometimes they have spawned with wings, so they can basically be like, if the Hive Tyrant needs a specific mutation,
It will give it to them.
they will give it to them. Like if there's let's say that they're attacking like a floating island, if it's a gas giant and the only real decent biomass is on these floating islands, they will specifically only get flying ones there because
Yeah.
ground units just can't do anything.
And they're your like poster child for the Tyranids too. Any artwork you see with a gigantic Tyranid is going to be a hive mind. What do they call
A
it?
hive mind or a carnifex, because
yeah.
carnifex is
And
one of the big,
they have
especially
two
like
gigantic
model
claw
painters.
arms, two regular arms, gigantic elephantine insect legs, and then wings, big old jaws.
Yep. And
Yeah,
then
very
there's the Brood
typical.
Lords. The Brood Lord is another Tyranid synaptic organism that is regarded as the epitaph of the Gene Stealer breed. The Brood Lords are one of the first Gene Stealers to make planetfall on a victim world. They are devastating in combat, and they are specifically adept at infiltrating on the battlefield. They get in closer to the enemies. They're very adaptable and highly intelligent. They're also usually the patriarch or the center of Gene Stealer cults. They coordinate cult attacks. If the Brood Lord is killed, then one of the pure strains will eventually evolve into a new Brood Lord
Yep.
after time.
We've talked about that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Then there's the Tyranid Guard. The Tyranid Guard are a special type of Tyranids in small broods. Sole purpose is to defending the Hive Tyrant. They are large, tough, and difficult to harm, and nearly impossible to surpass their defenses. The Tyranid Guard are completely blind and utterly controlled by a synaptic creature as they protect. Occasionally, a Carnifex also benefits from Tyranid Guards' protection. Tyrant Guards are believed to be some Archmagos may contain the DNA of defeated Space Marine chapters. The
Jesus.
Imperium considers them to be a blasphemy and denies the likely possibility of it. So, thoughts, concerns, coconuts?
They steal
Dude,
DNA,
the Tyranids are so fucking terrifying.
and they stole DNA.
Yep.
Impossible.
Oh no! Well, honestly, what terrifies me is literally everything about them is a living biomass.
Yep.
Because like even their projectiles from every weapon that they grow
Yeah.
is all a living form, just to keep going. Because like where one Tyranid ends, another begins. That shit's just fucking terrifying.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is weird to think about because with the hive tyrants or the tyrant guards, they have no consciousness of their own. They're literally
they're
tools,
puppets.
extended consciousness of whichever tool they want to
Which is why they're so expendable.
be. Yeah, and terrifying.
Then there is the basic Tyranid warrior. Tyranid warriors are synaptic foot soldiers for the swarm, in between the size of a hive tyrant and a gaunt. They serve as psychic resonators and assist in guiding lesser Tyranid troops into battles. They are fast, powerful, and capable to be strong ranged combat or close corner combat units in similar fashion of the hive tyrants. So they're
Yay.
mini hive tyrants in a sense.
That's
Yeah.
pretty insane.
Oh yeah. Then there is the lictors, which lictors are large, deadly organisms bred for stealthy qualities. A lictor is basically a chameleonic in nature, allowing them to blend into their surroundings and to hunt and kill their prey. Lictors are usually only seen when Tyranids are springing a deadly ambush upon unexpecting armies, unleashing a bioengineered killing machine within their own ranks. They usually range ahead of the swarm, performing commando raids of sorts, gathering information, devouring their victims' brains. Lictors possess stealth and cunning and unpredictability scales to the point where they can even best the famously Catachan jungle fighters in jungle combat.
Damn.
Many Astra Militarum commanders have been lost their troops in the shadows as they blink for a second. What's terrifying is the unpredictability of the Lictor at work.
Is that with one of the Wars of the Shadows?
Huh?
Wasn't there like a specific war about that called like War of the Shadows or something?
Maybe. I know that you actually face one of them in one of the Dawn of War games.
Nice.
Dawn of War 2,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
You face a Lictor, which is spooky. Imagine walking through the jungle and realizing you're the last member of your unit, and you didn't even hear a thing.
That would be terrifying.
I would go to sleep.
Especially
you
as like
just
a
accept
space
your fate.
marine.
You just lay down,
Just like, nope.
Yeah, cover myself in dirt.
eat the dirt.
Be the dirt.
Then there's the Gaunts. Gaunts are the basic stable combat unit of the Tyranid swarms. They are smaller and less physically powerful than the other Tyranid organisms.
Every
But
time I hear Gaunt, I just think Gaunt's ghost.
that's fair.
Of course.
But they are extraordinarily adapted and always attacks in large numbers. They are few fully mutable species. They can grow extra wings, adrenaline, venom sacs. They can even have bizarre biomechanized weapon symbiotes. That's including the dreaded spike rifle.
It's just a Halo needler.
Basically,
know,
but it
right?
has a specific Tyranid poison. It
Oh, great.
goes into you and then you die.
Because that's
Because they can even shoot grubs at you that burrow. They'll bite into you and burrow into your skin. Imagine that.
Because that's essentially what they use to quote unquote eat a lot of the
Gip the Rippers.
rippers.
Then there is the Gargoyle, which is the winged version of the Gaunt
Yep.
Oh
species.
God.
They're
Same thing
smaller
with
in size.
wings. No, thank you.
They have similar traits to Gaunts, but however, their lower legs have atrophied to little or more than stumps like their cousins. They are capable of being armed with large host of biomechanical symbiotic weaponry. They're the Gaunts just with wings. They just fly around and they're just general nuisances. Then there is the Ripper, which we just got done talking about. The Rippers are small snake-like organisms that are designed to devour biomatter. So new DNA and nutrients can be absorbed by the hive ships that are usually released at the final stages of the Tyranid invasions. So this is like pretty much if the army is already defeated and they're all out and running, hopefully they can get away. It is when they release the Rippers.
Gotcha.
And
So
they're
it's
just
not
a
like
massive-
before the planet's devoured. It's just before like
Yeah, they're like
whoever's
worms
fighting
that
them.
break down matter that make it to
Okay.
digestion. It's like pre-digestion.
Pretty much. And like there are millions of them that get released at once and they just swarm over battlefield, eating both human or Eldar or orcs or anything.
Yeah, they'll even eat gene stealers or other Tyranids.
Yeah, even dead Tyranids, they will just go over, devour, and then they will just come back to these giant spawning pools, and then they'll throw themselves into the spawning pools, and then they will be melted down, and then the bioships will suck it up like in a straw-like appendage that attaches to the ship. And then the next one,
Gives Oddworld vibes.
Gene stealers. Gene stealers are ferocious humanoid creatures that are supposedly derived from human DNA, but they use as vanguard of the human as Tyranid invasions of the Imperium. They infiltrate human society, creating gene stealer cults, described as under the tactics. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But they are also used as shock troops in the battlefield, while their sharp claws and instinct in close combat allows them to tear apart any armed opponent.
Damn.
They can even go through Terminator plate. That's how sharp their claws are. it's pretty
Because
spooky.
there's really no like quote unquote like full match army from them besides what maybe the Necrons.
Yeah, the only two armies that has been confirmed that could hold off a Gene Stealer invasion are Necrons, because they are made out of that biometal that cannot be dissolved, and also orcs. A full orc wog can hold back a full extent of a Tyranid invasion.
Because them boys got it right.
So those are the only two armies that can
They're like, you want to eat us?
actually
Guess what?
fight
We're also gonna eat us. Take that, fuckers.
pretty much.
Oh yeah, that and plus, I mean, when you got a good big scrap like that, they're gonna be willing to fight it.
Pretty much, like, those are the only two armies that have been confirmed in lore that can actually hold back a Tyranid.
Come on, Tao. What are
You
you
know
guys
a grubbly.
doing? Get your shit
Gribbly.
together.
The next creatures are called Carnifexes, which is
Yeah.
also known as the Screamer Killers.
Yeah,
A
the
huge
T-Rex
hulking,
of the
living
fucking
battering
Tyranid.
rams,
Essentially.
armed with a various biomechanical symbiotic weapons, are even stronger than hive tyrants. They are used to assault fortifications, position, and armed formations, such as during boarding actions. Carnifexes are used as the equivalent of tanks or space marine dreadnoughts. These monstrous creatures can be mutated into various multitude of forms of some species. Some are designed for tank hunting, others to produce acids and ideal toxins for anti-infantry combat. So
Terrifying.
So 1 second you could be fighting one that's meant for infantry combat, and then like 5 seconds later a new one will appear out of nowhere, killing your tank.
Beautiful.
Slice right through it.
Yep. There are the Reavers. The Reavers appear to be both related to the Rippers and the Tyranid warriors. These large beasts are designed for fast assault attacks against lighter enemies. They dig through the ground, performing surprise raids. So these are like your underground units. They just burrow through the ground and then they pop out.
Warhammer unit I ever bought.
Yep, because you used to want to play.
If we ever get back into Warhammer, I think I still want to play the Tyranids, because holy crap, nothing seems more terrifying than being the guy on the field who's birthing enemies while actively trying to kill you.
Their combat patrol's pretty good too, and a good start off to the army for little specialty units.
They're so scary.
And this looks like a good time to take a quick break. All right. We be back, boys. Talking about the Tyranids. Let's get to crumping them, boys.
Jeez, how far down the list are we? Like halfway there?
We have like 4 or 5 to go.
That's not bad.
There's ones called the Zoanthropes, Zoanthropes, whatever. Because they're a type of psychic artillery whose highly evolved brains swell out of proportion with their bodies.
Mojo
Jojo.
Mojo Jojo.
Through their use of psychic powers, they can perform a number of roles on the battlefield, which a lot of points later in incarnations of Xanthropes being improved by the Hive Mind's assimilation of Eldari DNA. Oh, okay, that was thrown in with the High Fleet Kraken Tyranids back on the Craft World Illidan Assault?
Yeah. Illidan or Ellidan. I think it's Illidan, though.
I think it's Illidan, but
Oh.
I didn't. So
Ellidan.
they did actually come in contact with
Yes,
the Eldari.
They did,
close
at least
by-
one
back,
of them,
back then.
and that's what like caused us to have the Zoanthropes. But I think the first group still was the humans who.
Gotcha.
I'd be so mad. I'd be like,
Okay.
for this one.
I just wanted to make sure because I was like right over here and I looked over and it just didn't have any peaks. So
Yeah.
no, the humans are still, I think, some of the first people to face them, anyways. So, but yeah, no, we didn't get Zoanthropes until they fought the Eldari.
good job, elves.
Because with those, you have also biovores, which are like the sluggish, sessile creatures. Because their only task is to grow and launch spore mines towards the enemy. because those are what grow inside of the Biovores body and then hurled across the battlefield through a muscle spasm.
Okay, no, we all know what
They
they're fucking
apparently-
talking about right now.
Oh yeah, so they apparently evolved, supposedly evolved from the orcs for how much they fought and kind of ate them. Apparently, this is the gene stock that kind of stuck in with
I'm
them.
not that surprised that they got the spore ability of the orcs after that.
See, I'm not either because every time you kill an orc, its spores just
Make
pop
another
out
10
of its
orcs.
body and goes through. Exactly. So I could see that being one of their evolutions from eating them.
flamer, brother.
Yep.
Brother,
It's one of the
I
only
desire
ways
the
to
flamer.
Take
The
care of
heavy flamer.
the orcs in combat. Once you kill them, just light them on fire or
Yep.
pre-light them on fire.
Or just never stop using fire.
Okay, so kind of like what we had mentioned earlier with like the biotitans being enormous organisms, because those are what evolved as a response to other races' titans.
Yep.
So take like the giant war machines of like
The humans,
the humans' actual
And
like
the Eldar.
full-on titans, the Eldars, 'cause
the orcs.
orcs.
Yeah,
They have
they're
their
all Titan-esque.
Orcanauts, Gorkanauts, and then you have your Stompas, of course, and then you've got your big Junker boys. But
They're just an evolutionary response to heavy weapons.
Yeah, they're like, oh
They-
wow, these boys have gay. Oh,
because
sorry.
they're one of the largest.
They have the gay.
They got the gay. Hey, hey.
I was gonna
Hey,
say
go,
those
hey.
gay ass weeb mech suits. So then I was like, oh, I can't say gay.
We'll just bleep out that word.
Anyways, yeah, they've got those weeby mech suits. I guess we're gonna have to make some too.
No, that's the Tau.
They all have them.
That's fair.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they're
Some
like
of
one
them
of the
just look like
largest
Megas
land-based Tyranid creatures. Love that show. But they range from 9 to 30 meters tall and can
What's that in
single-handedly
freedom units?
take out
Yeah, I don't know. It's somewhere between like light
9
post
and
and
30 meters tall. I think 30 meters is like
13. Wait, 30. Well, yeah. No, 30 meters
Phone,
is
fucking-
90 feet because 1 meter is almost 3 feet.
that's right.
Either way, what's that in freedom units?
We just told you.
Freedom units.
We are Americans, so
When you try to use kilometers per hour
It
instead
said
of
how
eagles
many
per
meters to how
cheeseburger.
many meters? How many was it?
this is very important, audience.
Yeah, how big are the anti-mech suits?
So the tallest Biotitan can literally be 98 feet. 98 and a half feet.
What did I tell you?
That's pretty big.
That's huge as shit.
Yeah.
That's
Because that's
For-
compared
for you
to like
folks
an
at
actual like Imperial Titan and not a because that's taller than a knight.
yeah. For
Yeah,
you folks
oh, yeah,
at home,
naturally.
your
Knights are
average
more,
like
like-
telephone
Knights are the
pole
smaller
or
because I'm having kind of a brain
or
fart.
like power
Yeah,
line
Knights are
is
smaller.
13 feet.
Knights, hounds. I don't know what's above the hound. I think Imperial class, and then there's the
Yeah.
Emperor class. That's
Okay.
That's when it comes to size wise. When it comes to Imperials, Titan forms.
But anyway, kind of getting back on track for the Tyranids, you have the Norn Queens that the Commissar mentioned earlier, which is essentially just giant biomechanical wombs that give birth to all other Tyranid life forms.
Oh, gross.
They genetically mutate biomass in just many ways that create up all the new ones. Apparently, the Norm Queens can be housed in huge rooms above hive ships.
Yep.
And is
They're the
just
control
hundreds of
CIC.
meters high to fill like one single Norn Queen.
Yep. And they only rarely are seen on battlefields, and that's usually on like a last ditch effort to make sure that the hive ship with one of the Norn sisters. Ooh, we're using new terms. The Norm sisters are like baby Norm queens,
Ah.
and the only time you will ever see like a Norm queen take battle onto the field is to protect the bioship
Right.
for it to get out, so it can
They're
continue
like,
living.
if we lose this battle, we're gonna get cut off from the hive mind anyways.
Pretty
so
much.
I'm gonna come
like,
down here
but
and make
they're
sure.
massive. They make most Titans look like they're on par with most.
I don't know
Titans when
why,
it
but I
comes
just
to-
keep imagining them as like just gigantic pulsating brains. That's it. They just look like brains, and they're just huge. But that's not what they look like.
Actually.
We can throw a photo of this up on the video.
Yeah, I don't have my my data device on me. So you guys are gonna have to show me what one looks like.
Why isn't there a picture? Reap.
Mr. Electro Priest?
Oh sure, hand me the device. Oh, the D word, the dominatrix. It's literally DOMINATRIXS. So it's dominatrix.
Dominatrix.
The dominatrixes are, Jesus Christ. Good job on the title there, Games Workshop. Are the Norn queens linked to the Tyranid ground forces. They are huge monsters, almost as large as Biotitans, and the stronger, more physically powerful female hive tyrant. They are symbolically fused with smaller, warrior-sized entities which act as psychic synaptic links to the Norn queens aboard their ships. And then there's Trigons. They're like
Trigons be Trigons.
yeah, exactly. The Trigons are powerful. Maybe we should call them Trigons. Trigons are
That's a flash.
powerful sentient organisms. So I hope. Oh, serpentine. Sorry, they're not sentient. They're all part of a hive mind. Powerful serpentine organisms that tunnel behind enemy lines, towering over even a Carnifex. Oh, so I mean, think of the giant burrowing earthworm things from the Hobbit movies, I guess.
Or
Oh,
a
God.
small dune worm.
Yeah, Dune Worm, Tremors works too.
Yep.
If you're Kevin Bacon fans.
It's an Alaskan bullworm.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah,
That's the
that
best
could also
one.
be a good.
They also become synapse creatures to control other Tyranids, so they're smart enough to have puppets. Trigons can lead a force of Tyranids known as a tunnel swarm. This swarm is usually comprised of lictors and hermagonts. The armor of a Trigon vibrates as it moves, thus creating a bioelectric current, which can be released at will upon groups of foes. So that sucks for foes.
Yes, it does.
And then Mawlocks, Mawlocs, Mawlocks. The Mawlocks are a subspecies of the Trigon. They are worm-like and blind. I guess the other ones weren't blind. Though they're incredibly agile, despite their size. So apparently they're glass cannons. Their short claws are not suited for close combat, rather to tunnel efficiently under the battlefield, although they are by no means defenseless. They prefer to swallow their prey whole to be digested alive for several days. Despite being blind, they can gather information on the surface through pressure waves, since they can travel through solid and fluids below ground. When a Mawloc begins to home in on other enemies, severe tremors erupt on the surface, which can tell the Mawloc... Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, okay, no. So it doesn't exactly say how, but it says when a Mawloc begins to home in on an enemy, severe tremors erupt on the surface,
Yeah,
which
so-
tell the Mawloc where its prey is.
So they're tremors
Yeah, they're
from the
tremors.
movie Trema.
Definitely.
Trema.
If the sound is regular and
I
rhythmic,
have tremors too.
it's easier for them to home in. Even a heartbeat will tell it where its next meal is. So you know. And then we've got hive guards. The hive guards are charged with protecting Tyranid structures and are capable of unleashing salvo after salvo of intensive firepower. Essentially gun beasts. They're heavily armored in shell-like carapaces and have a body designed to be a stable firing platform for their massive impaler cannons, bonded to their forelimbs. Physically linked to the shard beasts that comprise the ammunition of their cannons. So they're linked to their ammunition.
Yep.
Hive guards can target enemies with unerring accuracy, even those who they cannot see, because they can receive sensory impressions from the shard beasts in mid-flight. And yeah, that's it for the
At least the big fancy ones.
Yeah, all the military big fancy ones,
Yeah.
because we're not even going to get into the civilized big fancy ones.
Well, there's really not any civilized ones.
No, they don't have just like
No.
regular
it's just
workers.
really-
Well, it's just mostly
I mean,
exactly.
like,
it's just mostly like the actual
Gaunts.
Oh, it's fair. Would
The
just all be
Gaunts are the
Gaunts,
workers.
but with like
they
different
are
mutations.
just the ones who just do everything. It's like how the Rippers are a combat unit and also a supportive role. Because, So yeah, like
Makes sense.
most of it is just they all have multiple purposes.
Yeah,
within
they would
the
have
swarm.
different mutations depending on the job.
Exactly. Kind of like how you have the different Carnifexes.
Yeah,
You have the different style, like grub workers.
good times. Well, I say we exterminatus
all of them.
Oh yeah, no, definitely Exterminatus.
Yeah.
Bring the biggest wog you got. We fighting the buggy
And there
boys.
are like named versions of like the various units that we've talked about.
Of course.
Oh yeah, because you have the
big
different
bads.
sectors and stuff of each and every one of them.
Well, yeah, we
And
have
humans always have to name everything.
the Old One Eye, which is a Tyranid carnifex that has the ability to regenerate itself from mortal wounds.
Disgusting.
Oh, so like the Necrons.
Yeah, kind of.
Did they eat a beaky boy?
Old One Eye, his history behind it is he was a carnifex who spearheaded the Tyranid Hive Fleet Behemoth in the assault of the Ultramarines' world of Calth.
Oh shit.
It was swatted away by a Liam Rust battle tank as if they were insects, and its rampage stopped and became a forgotten hero. A forgotten hero shot it in the face with a plasma pistol, and it brought it down permanently. And at least everybody thought it was permanently.
I was gonna say, you'd think more than a plasma pistol would have to take that bitch down.
Oh, since it got it in the eye,
Well, yeah, and it was after it got hit by a
Okay.
tank. So, you know.
and then like they was pushed back, but they found Old One Eye frozen.
Oh no.
They thawed it out because they thought they would get a bounty on the corpse.
Oh no.
But it began to heal, and it awoke and slaughtered all the smugglers on an isolated. It was isolated from the hive mind, and it reverted back to its old instinct of mindlessly killing.
If you find something big ass like that frozen, why would you fucking thaw that?
I mean, the thing.
But ultimately, Old One Eye was defeated by a Ultramarine scout named Scout Sergeant Tehil. He tracked him down and shot him in the ruined eye socket. Got shot in the same area twice by two different
Damn.
people, and it.
I
brought
mean,
him
that'll
down.
do it.
Oh wait, no. It shot him. He stumbled into a cavernous ravine, and they never found his body again. So we
he's
don't
probably
know
still alive.
He's
what
probably still alive.
or what happened to him. So we don't know. That's one of the special named little gobbledygooks,
Very nice.
little goopy gobs.
Well, I think we.
What about the Doom of Melanto?
We could talk about that right now.
Because there's a Death Leaper too. That's a lictor.
Yep, that's just the special version of the the Death Leapers are just jumpy versions of the Lictors.
Oh,
They're just
that's
really
it?
good at jumping, for lack of a better
They got
phrase.
springtails.
They got jumped.
So the so-called Doom of Malacca, was a specially adapted Tyranid zoanthrope who had the ability to feed off the psychic energies and the souls of its victims. It played an instrumental role of the destruction of the entire Eldari population of the craft world Malahi 2 in the 41st millennium.
Damn.
It was a single zoanthrope who basically managed to somehow sneak by literally everybody somehow and get into the
It rolled a nat 20.
soul matrix, which is like a super important thing to the Eldar. It's where they
Right.
store all of their soul stones. So it's what kind of like keeps their family members together even
Right.
through death.
Because
That's
that
very
also keeps like
important.
Slanesh at
Pretty
bay
much.
too, right?
And so he somehow managed to sneak into it, and he get inside there, and he just started feeding off of the Infinity Circuit. And he became so powerful that he destroyed the ship itself by just sucking
Jesus
up all
fucking
of the
Christ.
souls. Years later, a Grey Knight of Space Marines came across its lifeless shell. The ship of the loathsome creature had brought this destruction. There is no sign of it. So we don't know where it went. We haven't seen it yet, but this one single zoanthrope destroyed a hive ship, a craft world, which is a massive thing.
Right, it's
an
a
entire
ship,
world.
Yeah, it's a ship world.
He managed to destroy all of them by himself, by basically
Just being a sneaky little boy.
pretty much.
That's pretty crazy.
This reminds me. This codex just reminds me of the How to Train Your Dragon book, chokes its victims, buries its victims, turns its victims inside out. It's just every single one is a
Put your
new
left
horrible
foot
way
in,
to die.
Put your left foot out. You grab your enemy and you shake him all about.
And here's a little fun fact about an older edition of the Tyranids from the Rogue Trader days. They
Rogue
actually
Trader.
had additional troops that you no longer see.
Yeah,
And
'cause
they
it
are
was
called
like
the Zotes.
the Zotes.
And they were enslaved
Zotes
by the
the goats?
Tyranids.
Because
And
they're
they
kind of like the crew, right?
basically, they just acted as like maintenance. They were these like almost like weird goblin-like enemies that had metal limbs, and they would just go around and make sure the bioship was intact.
Interesting.
But yeah, we don't see them anymore. At least from what I've seen. I think the last time we ever see anything about the Zotes was during the board game of the Space Hulk. And then that was about it.
That's it. They probably retconned
All
that
right.
then.
So, yeah. There are a few more named like Tyranid units, but we can always like make
have a
shorts
full like breakdown, yeah,
of them
Shorts.
and just like slightly covers there because we still have the parasites of Montrex. And there's like a few other ones,
Nice.
but we can always just cover those in a later date via YouTube Shorts, which we'll probably make in the future because
They are lucrative.
Yeah, we could
they're quick, easy.
throw them and we can each like individually.
Yeah.
Different ones too.
So
But I think for now that might wrap up this episode.
Thank you for joining us on the we should have done this one on like Halloween, but spooky episode.
Just skip a bunch though. This Id.
nope, our Halloween special
No,
will be
hopefully we-
poorly written fan fictions.
Jesus. Yeah, that'd
Well,
be bad.
if anyone wants that, email us at hammeringthepoint podcast at gmail.com. Feel free to forward message us and get any questions, rants, or anything answered. Thank you to the last few people who sent in questions. We appreciate you.
This has been Electro Priest Jack.
And the Commissar?
And your War Boss Tune Smasher. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button for more.